First Contact Fallout. The glowing blue holographic display illuminated Commander Elena Reyes' face as she scanned the incoming transmission. 3 weeks after humanity's official welcome into the Galactic Confederation, and already everything was going to hell. "Repeat that, Admiral Chen," she said, her voice steady despite the tension coiling in her stomach. The older man's face on the screen looked grim. "The Concordia station has been seized. All 27 Confederation diplomats and our 5 Earth representatives are being held hostage by what appears to be a splinter faction of the Varaxian Empire." Reyes pinched the bridge of her nose. Humanity's first major diplomatic summit beyond Earth, and terrorists had crashed the party. Casualties: 2 security personnel, 1 Altarian and 1 Medusan. The terrorists are demanding full diplomatic recognition of their separatist movement and control of 3 contested star systems. And the Confederation's response? Admiral Chen's expression darkened. "That's why I'm calling you. Their negotiation team has been talking for 18 hours with no progress. The terrorists have set a deadline, 6 more hours before they start executing hostages." Reyes leaned forward. "Why call me? I'm combat ops, not diplomatic corps." "Because," Chen said, lowering his voice, "the Security Council believes we need to implement Protocol Omega." The air in Reyes' office suddenly felt too thin. Protocol Omega, Earth's classified contingency for extraterrestrial hostage scenarios, had never been activated outside simulations. "The Confederation doesn't know about our specialized expertise," she said carefully. "Exactly. And the President wants to keep it that way. You'll be sent as a military advisor, nothing more. The Confederation needs to believe this is their operation." Reyes stood, already calculating what she would need. Time to transit. "The UES Interceptor can get you there in 3 hours. Captain Nazari is prepping for launch now. I'll be ready in 20 minutes. As the transmission ended, Reyes pressed her palm against the hidden scanner on her desk. A concealed compartment slid open, revealing a matte black case. Inside was a neural interface, Earth's most advanced tactical system, classified beyond top secret. She slipped the small device behind her ear, feeling the familiar tingle as it bonded with her skin. "Activate shield protocol," she whispered. "Authorization raise Echo 97 Kilo. Neural interface active. All systems online," responded a voice in her mind. Earth had been preparing for this moment for decades, ever since the first covert contact with alien life. While the public celebrated humanity's first encounter with the Galactic Confederation just weeks ago, a select few knew the truth. Earth had been monitoring alien communications for nearly 50 years, and developing countermeasures for just as long. 3 hours later, the UES Interceptor dropped out of FTL on the edge of the Concordia system. Through the viewport, Reyes could see the diplomatic station, a gleaming silver structure resembling a snowflake, with 6 symmetrical arms extending from a central hub. Multiple Confederation vessels in the area, Commander, reported Lieutenant Park from the tactical station. "They've established a perimeter but aren't making any moves toward the station. Open a channel to their command vessel," Reyes ordered. The view screen shifted to show an alien with iridescent blue scales and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern. Ambassador Krell of the Duraxian Coalition, the Confederation's chief diplomat for this sector. "Commander Reyes of Earth," the alien said, his voice translated through the ship's systems. "Your presence is unexpected. Earth received word of the situation, Ambassador. I've been sent to assist." All 4 of Krell's eyes blinked simultaneously, a sign of irritation, according to Reyes' briefing files. "With respect, Commander, this is a delicate diplomatic matter. The Confederation has extensive experience with such unfortunate incidents. Then perhaps you can explain why 27 diplomats are still hostages after 18 hours of your experienced negotiations," Reyes replied evenly. Krell's upper eyes narrowed. "The Varaxian separatists are known for their volatility. We are proceeding with caution to prevent loss of life." "And how's that working out so far?" When Krell didn't respond, she continued, "I'm not here to take over, Ambassador. Consider me an observer with relevant expertise." "Very well," Krell finally conceded. "You may dock with our command vessel." The Confederation Command Center was a marvel of alien technology. Holographic displays floating in 3 dimensions, beams of a dozen different species working at stations that seemed to respond to thought itself. Under different circumstances, Rice would have been fascinated. As she entered, conversation stopped. The aliens regarded her with expressions ranging from curiosity to obvious disdain. Ambassador Krell approached, accompanied by a tall, willowy being with luminescent skin. "Commander Rice, this is Security Director Thalen of the Elysian Conclave. He is coordinating our response to this crisis." The luminescent being inclined his head slightly. "Commander, while we appreciate Earth's concern, I must emphasize that we have handled similar situations many times in our history." "I've reviewed your approach," Rice said, nodding toward the tactical displays. "You've isolated the station, cut off communications except for negotiation channels, and established a defensive perimeter. Standard containment protocol." "Precisely," Thelen replied, sounding surprised at her assessment. "And yet," Rice continued, moving toward the central hologram of the station, "you've made no progress in 18 hours. The terrorists still hold all the hostages, still maintain their demands, and your deadline is approaching rapidly." A murmur of discontent rippled through the command center. "What would you suggest, human?" asked a gravelly voice from behind her. A massive rhinoceros-like being stepped forward, armor plates shifting as it moved. "A primitive military assault. Brute force." "General Vork," Krell said, "Commander Rice is here as an observer only." Rice studied the station schematic, her neural interface quietly analyzing weaknesses in the terrorist's position. "Actually, I'd like to speak with them." The room fell silent. "Absolutely not," Thalen said firmly. "The Separatists explicitly demanded to speak only with Confederation High Council representatives." "Then tell them I am one," Rice replied calmly. "You wish us to lie?" Krell asked, 4 eyes widening in surprise. "I wish you to give me 5 minutes with them. After that, if you don't like my approach, I'll stand down." The aliens exchanged glances, a silent communication passing between them that Reyes couldn't interpret. Finally, Krell nodded. 5 minutes, Commander. But I warn you, the Varaxian temperament is volatile and unpredictable. They do not respond well to threats. Reyes smiled thinly. Neither do humans. The communication screen flickered to life, revealing a Varaxian male with crimson scales and yellow, slitted eyes. Unlike the diplomats Reyes had met, this one had ritualistic scarring across his face, marks of a warrior caste, according to her neural interfaces database. "Who are you?" the Varaxian demanded. "You are not Confederation Council." Commander Elena Reyes, representing Earth. She kept her tone neutral, neither friendly nor threatening. The Varaxian bared needle-like teeth in what might have been amusement. "The new species. We have heard of your world. Small. Insignificant. Why would the Confederation send you?" "They didn't send me. I volunteered when I heard what was happening." "Then you waste your time and ours. Our demands are non-negotiable. The Confederation will recognize the free Varaxian states and cede control of the Trillium, Novar, and Kethra systems to our authority." Reyes nodded as if considering. "And if those demands aren't met, then the hostages die, one by one, starting in." He checked a device on his wrist. 5 hours and 22 minutes. "I see." Reyes stepped closer to the screen. "Before you make that decision, there's something you should know about humans." The Varaxian's head tilted slightly. "What could possibly matter about your species now?" "We have a policy regarding terrorists," Reyes said, her voice dropping lower. "A non-negotiation policy." "Many claim such things," the Varaxian scoffed. "Yet all negotiate in the end. Not humans." Raya's eyes locked with the aliens. You see, before we joined the Confederation, Earth had its own share of hostage crises. We learned something important from them. And what is that, human? That when you reward terrorism, you get more terrorism. She stepped even closer to the screen, her face filling the Varaxian's view. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to release all hostages, surrender your weapons, and prepare to face Confederation justice. The Varaxian's laugh was like glass breaking. Or what? Your primitive species will attack us. We have studied your technology. You have barely mastered interstellar travel. Rice smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Have you ever heard of something called a kinetic bombardment weapon? Behind her, she heard Krell inhale sharply. The Varaxian's expression flickered briefly. It's quite simple, Rice continued conversationally. No explosives, no radiation. Just a tungsten rod about 20 feet long, dropped from orbit. By the time it hits the target, it's traveling at about Mach 10. The impact force is comparable to a small nuclear weapon, but without all those messy after effects. You are bluffing, the Varaxian hissed. The Confederation would never allow such a weapon in this system. Check your sensors, Rice suggested. Specifically at coordinates 42 to 18.7 relative to your station. You'll find a small object that appeared 3 minutes ago. The Varaxian barked an order to someone off-screen. His yellow eyes widened slightly as he received a response. That's right. Rice nodded. Earth doesn't just talk about non-negotiation. We enforce it. This is madness. The Varaxian leader snarled. You would kill your own diplomats. I'd rather not, Rice admitted. But we understand something that perhaps the Confederation hasn't explained to you yet. Sometimes, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. Behind her, the command center had erupted into chaos as the alien officials realized what was happening. She could hear Krell demanding information about the mysterious object, Felon insisting there had been no launch detection. You have 1 hour, Rice told the stunned Varaxian. Release the hostages and surrender, or we'll be forced to demonstrate Earth's policy on terrorism in a way that will be remembered throughout the galaxy. She cut the transmission before he could respond, then turned to face the aliens behind her. What have you done? Krell demanded, all 4 eyes fixed on her in what appeared to be horror. You've escalated the situation beyond repair. On the contrary, Rice replied calmly. I've given them a clear choice with real consequences. By threatening to destroy an entire diplomatic station. Felon's luminescent skin pulsed with agitation. This is against all Confederation protocols. It's against your protocols, Rice corrected. Not ours. General Vork pushed forward. What weapon have you deployed, human? Our sensors detected a small object, but it cannot possibly be what you claimed. Rice checked her watch. I suggest we wait and see how the Varaxians respond. We have 57 minutes remaining. Commander, Krell said, his voice lowered, please tell me you are bluffing, that you would not actually destroy the station with all aboard. Rice met his 4-eyed gaze steadily. In 26 minutes, that object will begin broadcasting a tight beam transmission to the station. I suggest you monitor it when it starts. The command center remained tense as the minutes ticked by. Rice stood calmly at the tactical display, occasionally checking data on her wrist device. The aliens watched her with a mixture of fear and fascination. 26 minutes after her ultimatum, as promised, the mysterious object began transmitting. Confederation technicians scrambled to intercept and decode the signal. It's just transmitting a series of images, a technician finally reported, confusion evident in their voice. Historical images from Earth. Put them on screen, Krell ordered. The main display filled with photographs. Hiroshima after the atomic bomb. The burning oil fields of Kuwait. The ruins of terrorist strongholds from various conflicts. What is this? Felon demanded. History lessons, Rice answered quietly. For the Varaxians. Exactly 32 minutes after her ultimatum, the communication system chimed. The Viraxian leader's face appeared on screen, his crimson scales now pale with anger or fear. "We will release the hostages," he said without preamble. "All of them. But I want your guarantee that my crew will receive fair treatment under Confederation law." "You have my word," Rise replied. "Ambassador Krell will oversee the transfer personally." As the transmission ended, the command center erupted in a mixture of relief and confusion. Krell approached Rise, his expression unreadable. "Commander, I must insist that you explain exactly what just happened." Rise nodded. "Let's wait until the hostages are safe. Then we can discuss Earth's approach to interstellar diplomacy in more detail." "And this weapon? This kinetic bombardment device?" Rise smiled enigmatically. "As I said, Ambassador, some conversations are best had after the crisis is resolved. The human way." The hostage transfer proceeded with a precision that surprised even Commander Reyes. Within 2 hours, all 27 Confederation diplomats and 5 Earth representatives were safely aboard the command vessel, while the Viraxian separatists were secured in the brig. When the last shuttle docked, Ambassador Krell approached Reyes, who stood monitoring the operation from a tactical console. "Your strategy was effective, Commander," the four-eyed diplomat admitted, though his tone suggested he was still disturbed. "However, I believe you owe us an explanation. What exactly is that object still orbiting the diplomatic station?" Reyes glanced at her watch. "I think it's time for a more private conversation, Ambassador, perhaps with just your senior staff." Krell hesitated, then nodded. "The command briefing room. 10 minutes." When Reyes entered the briefing room, 5 alien representatives were already seated around a crescent-shaped table. She recognized Krell, Felon, and General Vork. The other 2, a gelatinous being floating in a containment field and a tall, insectoid creature, were unfamiliar. "Commander Reyes," Krell began formally, "you are in the presence of the Sector Security Council. Allow me to introduce Chancellor Zulvex of the Muriad Collective." The gelatinous being pulsed in acknowledgement. "And Arkshan Tiktavi of the Hymenoptera Dominion." The insectoid clicked its mandibles together. "An honor," Reyes said with a respectful nod to each. "We have reviewed the events of the past hours," Felon said, his luminescent skin dimmed to a serious glow. "While we appreciate the outcome, your methods raise concerns." Reyes took a seat at the open end of the crescent. "I understand. You're wondering about the object, about Earth's policy, and about whether I would have actually destroyed the station. Among other things," General Vork rumbled. "The object," Reyes said calmly, "is a sophisticated sensor package broadcasting on frequencies your technology doesn't normally monitor. Completely harmless." A moment of stunned silence followed. "You bluffed," Krell said finally. "The device was a bluff," Reyes corrected. "The policy wasn't." Chancellor Zulvex's gelatinous form rippled in what might have been confusion. "Clarify," came a synthesized voice from the containment field. Reyes leaned forward. "Earth has been aware of extraterrestrial civilizations for much longer than the Confederation realizes. Nearly 50 years before our official first contact, we detected transmissions from your communication networks." The aliens exchanged glances. "Impossible," General Vork declared. "Our encryption is sophisticated," Reyes agreed, "but not impenetrable. Once we confirmed the existence of alien life, Earth's governments secretly united to prepare for eventual contact. Part of that preparation was studying your conflicts, your politics, and your approaches to galactic security. And you found us wanting," Felon said softly. "We found differences," Reyes corrected diplomatically. "The Confederation's approach to terrorism and hostage situations emphasizes patience, negotiation, and compromise. Earth's historical experience has taught us a different lesson." She activated a small projector on her wrist device, displaying a holographic timeline. "In our past, terrorist organizations thrived when governments gave in to their demands. Each successful hostage-taking led to more incidents, more deaths. Eventually, many Earth nations adopted strict non-negotiation policies. But surely, Krell interjected, there must have been losses, hostages who died because of this inflexibility. Reyes nodded grimly. There were, and each was a tragedy. But over time, hostage-taking incidents decreased dramatically. The calculus was tragically simple. Short-term losses saved many more lives in the long term. Archon, Tiktavi's antennae quivered. Yet you said the weapon was a bluff. Would Earth truly sacrifice innocent lives to uphold this policy? Reyes met the insectoid's compound eyes. The bluff worked because it was believable. The Varaxians sensed that I wasn't lying about our policy, only about the specific means of enforcement. And if they had called your bluff, General Vork demanded, then we would have moved to Plan B. Reyes replied simply. Which was? Reyes smiled slightly. I had 16 Special Forces operators in stealth suits positioned around the station's external access points, ready to breach on my command. The neural interface behind my ear, she tapped the nearly invisible device, was coordinating their movements and providing real-time analysis of the station's internal security systems. The alien stared at her in disbelief. Impossible, Thelen whispered. Our sensors would have detected them. Just as they detected our weapon, Reyes asked pointedly. Earth has been developing countermeasures to Confederation detection technology for decades. We didn't want our first official contact to come before we were ready. Chancellor Zulvex pulsed rapidly, the translator interpreting. This implies your technology is significantly more advanced than what you have shared with the Confederation. In some areas, yes, Reyes acknowledged, particularly in stealth systems, neural interfaces, and certain weapon technologies. We've kept these advances quiet for the same reason many species do, to maintain strategic advantage if needed. This is deeply troubling, Krell said, all four eyes fixed on her. The Confederation is founded on principles of transparency and cooperation. Is it? Reyes raised an eyebrow. Then perhaps you can explain why the Diraxian Coalition has been developing quantum displacement technology in violation of the Treaty of Algeron, or why the Elysian Conclave maintains a cloaked monitoring station in the Sol system. The room went deadly silent. How could you possibly know about? Tholen began, then caught himself. As I said, Reyes continued calmly. Earth has been watching and listening for a long time. We joined the Confederation in good faith, but not in naivete. General Vork's massive fist slammed down on the table. This is outrageous. You spy on Confederation members, conceal military capabilities, and then lecture us on transparency. I'm simply pointing out that every species keeps secrets, Reyes replied, unfazed by the outburst. The difference is in how those secrets are used. Earth has no territorial ambitions beyond our solar system. We seek peaceful coexistence and fair trade. But we will not compromise on security. What is it you want, Commander? Krell asked quietly. Why reveal all this now? Reyes deactivated her holographic display. Because this incident with the Varaxian separatists is just the beginning. Our intelligence suggests they're being supported by a much larger threat, one that the Confederation has been deliberately ignoring. She activated her projector again, this time displaying a star chart with a region highlighted in red. The Nexus Imperium, Tholen breathed. Yes, Reyes confirmed. They've been expanding their influence in this sector for years, testing the Confederation's resolve through proxies like the Varaxian separatists. Today was a probe, a test to see how the Confederation would respond to a hostage crisis. And thanks to Earth's intervention, Chancellor Zulvex's translator synthesized, they now believe we are more formidable than we are. Precisely, Reyes nodded. But that illusion won't last. The Imperium is planning something much larger. Our deep space monitoring network has detected unusual movements near the Perseus Gap. They're assembling a fleet. This is absurd, General Vork declared, though with less conviction than before. Where is your evidence? Reyes tapped her wrist device, uploading data to the room's central display. Detailed tactical maps appeared, showing ship movements, intercepted communications, and disturbing footage of massive warships in formation. This data was collected by our monitoring network, which extends far beyond what you believed was our solar system, she explained. The Imperium has assembled over 200 warships, along with numerous support vessels and ground forces. They're planning to strike within the next 30 days, targeting key Confederation worlds simultaneously. The Security Council members stared at the evidence in stunned silence. Why would Earth choose to warn us? Arkshan, Tiktavi finally asked, mandibles clicking nervously. By your own admission, you've concealed your capabilities and observed our less admirable actions. What benefit is there in revealing yourselves now? Rhea's expression softened slightly. Because despite your flaws, and yes, we've observed many, humanity has decided that the Galactic Confederation represents the best hope for stability in this region. The Nexus Imperium would bring something far worse. And what does Earth expect in return for this warning? Krell asked cautiously. Recognition, Rise replied simply, of Earth as a full security partner in the Confederation, with all the rights and responsibilities that entails. Chancellor Zulvex pulsed in what seemed like confusion. That's all. You don't demand technology, territory, or reparations for our observation of your development. Rise actually laughed. Chancellor, you've been observing our fake development. The technological gap isn't what you think it is. I find that difficult to believe, General Vork muttered. If humans possess truly advanced technology, why do your public communications still show primitive fusion drives and basic orbital habitats? Hollywood props, Rise replied with a smile. We've maintained two separate space programs for decades. The public face for our own population and watching eyes, and the real program. It's amazing what you can hide in plain sight with the right narrative. Philen leaned forward, his luminescent skin pulsing with what might have been excitement or anxiety. If the Imperium is truly preparing for invasion, and if Earth's technology is as advanced as you claim, why do you need the Confederation at all? Why not simply defend yourselves? Rhea's expression turned grave. Because we've run the simulations, Director. Hundreds of them. Earth alone could potentially defeat the Imperium, but at a terrible cost. Billions would die across multiple worlds. Entire species might be exterminated. The galaxy would be fractured for generations. She paused, looking each council member in the eye before continuing. Humans have a long, bloody history of warfare. We've become very good at it, too good. And we've learned from our mistakes that even victory can be catastrophic if the price is too high. United, the Confederation and Earth together can deter the Imperium with minimal bloodshed. Divided, we guarantee a massacre. The council chamber remained silent as her words sank in. Finally, Ambassador Krell nodded slowly. The Security Council will need to review your evidence and deliberate on this matter, Commander Reyes. But I believe I speak for all when I say that your candor has been illuminating, if disturbing. Take all the time you need. Ambassador, Reyes replied, rising from her seat. But not too much. The Imperium isn't waiting. As she turned to leave, Chancellor Zulvex's synthesized voice stopped her. Commander, one final question. If the Viraxians had not released the hostages, would Earth truly have enforced your non-negotiation policy, by whatever means necessary? Reyes turned back, her expression deadly serious. Chancellor, there's something the Confederation needs to understand about humanity. Throughout our violent history, we've learned one lesson above all others. When faced with an existential threat, there are no lines we won't cross to ensure our survival. She glanced around the room, meeting each alien's gaze in turn. We cooperate when possible, negotiate when practical, but when those options fail, when innocent lives are threatened by those who understand only force, we become something else entirely. The hostage-takers you faced before might have responded to patience and diplomacy. The enemies coming for us now will not. "And what would you have us become, Commander?" Krell asked quietly. "What does Earth offer the Confederation beyond advanced weapons and a willingness to use them?" "A warning," Rise answered simply. "The galaxy is more dangerous than you've allowed yourselves to believe. For centuries, the Confederation has maintained peace through dialogue and compromise. That approach works with reasonable actors who value life and stability. But there are forces gathering that respect only strength and resolve." She stepped closer to the table, her voice firm but not threatening. "Earth doesn't ask you to become like us. We've walked that blood-soaked path, so you don't have to. What we offer is a partnership, your diplomatic wisdom tempered by our tactical experience, your commitment to peace supported by our readiness for war." General Vork's massive form shifted uncomfortably. "And if the Confederation declines this partnership, then we'll defend ourselves as best we can when the Imperium comes," Rise replied without hesitation. "And we'll hope that whatever remains of galactic civilization afterward remembers that we tried to warn you." With that, she gave a formal nod and left the chamber, leaving the alien council members in contemplative silence. 3 days later, Commander Rise stood on the observation deck of the UES Interceptor, watching as the swirling blue patterns of FTL travel streaked past the viewport. Her neural interface chimed softly, indicating an incoming secure transmission. "Accept," she subvocalized. Admiral Chen's holographic form appeared before her. "Commander, I understand congratulations are in order. The Confederation Security Council has unanimously approved Earth's proposal for a joint defense initiative." Rise nodded. "They reviewed our intelligence on the Imperium threat. Combined with the demonstration of our approach during the hostage crisis, it was enough to convince them. And they've agreed to our conditions: full information sharing, joint military exercises, integrated command structure. All of it," Rise confirmed. Though Ambassador Krell mentioned they had to create several new exceptions to Confederation protocols to accommodate our unique tactical philosophy. Chen smiled thinly. "I imagine that was a diplomatic way of saying they're terrified of us." "Respectfully cautious," Rise corrected, "and perhaps a little fascinated. Their military analysts have been reviewing historical Earth conflicts since our presentation. General Vork actually requested access to our War College archives." "Granted, with the usual restrictions," Chen nodded. "The President believes controlled exposure to human military thinking will help the Confederation prepare for what's coming." Rise turned back to the viewport, watching the hypnotic patterns of faster-than-light travel. "They still don't fully understand, sir, even after everything they've seen and everything I've told them." "Understand what, Commander?" "What humanity becomes when truly threatened," she replied quietly. "They've never faced extinction before. Most Confederation species evolved on stable worlds with limited competition. They developed technology before they developed real predators. Unlike us," Chen observed. "Unlike us," Rise agreed. "We were prey that became predators. We fought our way to the top of our food chain with nothing but sticks and determination. That instinct, that absolute refusal to surrender, it's coded into our DNA. And now it will help protect them," Chen said. Rise nodded slowly. "Yes, but I hope they never have to see what happens when humanity is pushed to its limits, when there are no rules left except survival." "For their sake, so do I," the Admiral replied. "But if that day comes, Commander, I'm glad you'll be there to remind the galaxy of our most important lesson." "Sir, that when it comes to protecting innocent life against those who would take it." Chen's expression hardened. "Humans don't negotiate with terrorists. No deals. No mercy." As the transmission ended, Rise continued to watch the stars streak by, carrying her back toward Earth. The first battle had been won without firing a shot. A terrorist threat neutralized, hostages saved, and a new alliance forged. But the real test was still to come. And when it did, the galaxy would learn exactly why humanity had spent 50 years preparing in secret. Not out of fear, but out of the grim determination to never again be at another species' mercy. No deals, No mercy, just survival at any cost. Because that was the human way.